Hello, let's see how we can produce a dance music track from scratch. Today we'll see the whole process from start to finish, and we'll try and make every step as detailed and simple as possible. So if you're starting out, this video is for you. Let's go. Here's my empty Ableton Live project. Now, a dance music track is composed of several elements. Some typical ones would be drums, bass, synthesizers, sometimes vocals, and effects. Now, this can vary. For example, you could have guitars, you could have certain things and not have other things. That depends. But we'll look at a typical arrangement today. So I would start with the foundational element of a dance music track, which is the kick drum. So here in Ableton, I'm going to use my first MIDI track. As you can see here, I'm highlighting it now. I will go to my drums section on the library on the left. So if this is closed, you just want to click up here and you can open up. In Ableton, you have the option of enabling info, which will give you tips about whatever you're hovering your mouse on. So you go to view and then info. For example, if I go over, let's say the browser, it will say browse instruments because I'm over instruments here. If I go to audio effects, it will say browse audio effects and explain you what it is, which is a great tool to use if you're learning Ableton Live. Now let's go back to our track. We want to start with drums, so let's go over drums here. And I'm going to load a drum rack, which is basically an empty sampler, which will allow me to use any drum sample that I like. In this case, I'm looking for a kick drum. Okay, so I might go to my drums again, and I'm going to be looking for a kick here. You can choose the character of your kick over here. Let's just go with, let's just browse a few and find one that we like. I like this one. I'm gonna drag it down to C1, which is, let's call it the standard note for a kick drum. You don't have to use that one. You can use any other note, but usually it will go on C1. If you click on the little play button here, you can hear the sample that we chose. Now let's go to our arrangement. Our tempo up here in the left corner is set to 120 BPM, which is a great tempo for a dance music track. I wouldn't change that for the moment. Let's create a MIDI clip so we can record our kick drum into the arrangement. So I'm going to highlight, let's say 4 bars, so 9 to 13, okay? Right click and we can insert empty MIDI clip. Okay, so this is going to create an empty MIDI clip. Now, here you can see that the only sample that's loaded is my kick drum right here. And if we enable the Q button here, actually note editor preview, MIDI note editor preview, this will allow us to listen to the sound by clicking on the keyboard. If we double click in the arrangement on the first note here, we can create our first kick drum, okay? Now, this is a quarter note long. As you can see, this is 1 bar, 2 bars. So each one of these divisions is a quarter note. And we would typically in dance music, you would have one kick drum on every quarter note. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this by holding Option on my keyboard as I'm on a Mac computer. Duplicate this again and one more. Okay. Now I have several options for creating a kick drum loop here. What I like to do is I'm just going to select this whole lot here, not on the notes, just below. So I'm highlighting this portion and I'm going to press Command L, which loops the region, okay? Now, in Ableton, you can create regions independently from what's happening in the arrangement. What does that mean? That I've created a region here that's only 1 bar long in the end, okay? And I'm looping it because loop here is enabled. Now, in my arrangement here, I can drag this left and right for as long as I like, and it will always loop the same bar of music. So I can have this start from the very beginning of the project and go on as long as I like, okay? Let's make a very long loop for now, just because we're going to be working over our kick drum. That's going to be the foundation of our track. So let's hear what this sounds like if I press play. Okay, here this corresponds to the click. Great. So we've got a very good starting point. Now, let's see, how could we go on from here to create something interesting? I would say track two, very important for dance music, a bass line. So let's go back to our sounds here. We can either go to instruments and pick a specific instruments from the ones offered in Ableton Live, or we can go directly to sounds up here. Okay, I would do that and just go and filter it by type. So if we select bass, and then we have different types of bass. So 808, electro bass, synth bass, upright bass. I will go for synth bass as we're working on a dance music track. Character. Let's see what we can do here. Acoustic, analog, basic, bright. Let's not pick one for now. Let's just listen to a few sounds. So if I click on one of the sounds here on the left, it's going to audition until I press the little blue Q button down here, just like for the MIDI clip. Okay, that's one sound. Let's go through a few sounds. I'm going to enable this again. I like this short bass here because it's going to allow us to have some rhythm in the bass line. So let's see. Let's try and drag this to our second MIDI track in the arrangement. Okay, and try and play a few notes on our keyboard. Nice, sounds pretty cool. Now let's try and record the bass line with the sound we chose. So I'm going to press record here, and I've set this to a 1 bar counting. So it's going to give me a total of 4 clicks before I can start recording. 2, 3, 4. Cool. I think that can be our baseline. Sounds good. Let's see. Let's go into the MIDI clip and see what we've done here. Okay, here we can see the notes that I recorded, which are A, C, F, D. Now, next step would be for me to quantize these notes. The easiest way of doing that is pressing Command A, which will select all the notes in our region, all right? And then Command U, which is the shortcut in Ableton for quantizing. But you can also, I'll go back one step with Command Z. You can also right click once you've selected all the notes and you can select quantize. Okay. Now this is going to quantize it to the grid that you're seeing. So in this case, we're seeing 16 notes. All right. So it's going to quantize the note to the closest 16 note. All right. There's a mistake there. Let's fix it. Awesome. So this is a nice bass loop. I'm going to go again and press Command L, just like we did for the bass drum, selecting a total of 8 bars, all right, which you can see here, length right here. Now this has created a bassline loop, just like we did for the kick drum. I'm gonna move it to the beginning of my arrangement for now and drag it out, just like this. All right, let's do something cool that's very typical of dance music, all right, which is sidechain compression. What is sidechain compression? That means using a compressor, which you can find here on your audio effects on the left-hand side. Scroll down to compressor. Let's drag it to our bass track right after the instrument, okay? Compressor usually reduces the sound when it goes over a certain threshold, all right? And that's based on the sound itself, so what's coming from here. If we enable sidechain compression, we can get that same effect, but triggered by a different sound source. What does that mean? We can tell this compressor to deduct the bass sound based on when the kick drum is hitting, for example, which is what happens very often in dance music. So if we click on this little arrow here, we can enable sidechain and we can select as input our drum rack, which we know is our kick drum. Actually, let's call that kick drum. So Command R for rename, and let's call this kick. Boom, done. And now that's going to show up here. So we're getting audio from kick. So let's go to this compressor view here, this one, which is a little simpler, and let's play the track again. You can see that the input signal is triggered by the kick drum now that we're using sidechain. So if I bring down the threshold, which is when the compressor starts acting, at which level, we will hear the bass duck as the kick drum is playing. Let's make this extreme. Okay. So we need to find a nice middle ground that sounds musical. I'll bring the tuck down to 0, release a little bit faster, and let's move this around. Nice, that creates a nice and musical, groovy feeling between the bass and the kick drum. So I like that. Let's keep it in for now. All right, so we've got a kick drum, we've got a bass line going. What else could we do next? Probably some chords, I would say. So I'm going to create a new MIDI track. So create, insert MIDI track. Okay, and this time we're looking to play some chords, probably. So let's see. Let's go back to our sounds. Let's deselect bass. And this time we're going to be looking for a pad, for example. Let's hear a few sounds. Okay, I'm gonna try this one out. Let's see what it does. Not bad. Let's try a few other sounds. This one is probably better. The release is a bit long though, and the attack is a bit too slow, so I'm tweaking those right now. Okay. Okay, let's try that. Let's see what it sounds like with our chords. Pretty cool. Not bad, not bad. Let's go with that for now. So let's record again here. 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's look at what I recorded. So small mistake there, clean up. Also, I'm going to be quantizing this again, but I'm going to set the grid to 8 notes instead of 16 notes, so 8. And again, I'm going to select all and then Command U or right click quantize. And let's quantize this all to the nearest 8 note. Okay. Probably want to add one more note down here. Yeah, that looks better. Let's get the velocities to be a little bit similar one to the other. So as you can see down here, you can see the velocity of each note. That's the volume of each one of the notes that compose the chord. So this one, as it's darker, it means it's a lot quieter than this one, for example. So I'm just going to select them all. Okay, bring the lowest note all the way up, and then bring everything a bit down. In this way, everything has the same velocity and it's nice and neat. So I'm going to create out of this, just like we did for the other instruments, and bring this to the beginning of the track and drag it out, just like we did for the other stuff. Awesome. I had a lot of fun in this video. I hope you did too. Please check out our unmute.pro page for a lot of other free resources and our YouTube channel. Thank you. Have fun.